What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to today's episode of Solutions. Today we're going to be discussing how YNs are actually a good thing for the Black community. With that said, make sure y'all like, comment, and subscribe. If there's some topics that y'all want us to discuss later, drop them down below. And anything that I didn't touch on today that y'all want me to expound on more, make sure you drop them down below as well. With that said, I pray y'all having a blessed week and enjoy the video.
So Cam, do you think it's possible for YNs to be good for the Black community?
Why you finna laugh?
I want to hear this.
So I feel like the same sense of pride that our youth have as far as gangs, and we'll just say the streets in general, because not everybody that's in the streets is in a gang. Some people see it as a business. Realistically, we need resources, we need positive role models, and we need to place an emphasis on collaboration as far as community events, as well as business, which I talk about a lot, but we'll go more in depth throughout the video.
How do you think we can bring this into fruition? So I guess you're saying, how can the YNs be? Okay.
As I shared with the positive role models, I believe that if our youth were exposed to people like Rashawn Williams, who was on the first episode of the new season of Shark Tank, who's a venture capitalist and private equity investor, people like Don Peebles, who is a developer, and Malik Yoba, who you all know is an actor. He's a developer as well. Bringing people like that into the light the same way that we do Lil Durk and Future and other people who honestly promote content that's harmful for our community, we be living in the sense of peace and sense of community that we want to see. So for everybody that's still looking at me sideways, honestly, you probably one of those closed-minded individuals, so I'm gonna take the time to put it in perspective for you all. So let's say you go to service and the congregation, it's only one tambourine player or it's only one piano player, no other instruments, nobody in the stands, no choir. You could be the best pianist on earth, but a full congregation and a full choir on one accord will always sound better than an individual. The same concept applies in business. You don't see any Fortune 500 companies that are self-made millionaires. They all have CEOs, they all have corporate structures, the whole COO, CFO, and managerial positions that you see. All of that is what's necessary, not only from a business aspect, but also from a community aspect. Everything is about leadership. When you talk about Richard Daley, who was the former mayor of Chicago, that they didn't name the school after, and they giving this, like, we celebrating this man, put him up on a pedestal. He was a gang member. The black gangs were
On phone number.
Bro, you gotta chill, bro. When he was in his position, he literally chose to put the Dan Ryan through what we know today as Bronzeville. This ultimately displaced thousands of black families. Those of you all that want to do your research, look into a book called King David and Boss Daily. It's gonna break down in detail what happened in that point in time, because you can't really have a, I'd say, closed-minded perspective. As I shared previously, you have to have facts behind it. So it would have ran through Bridgeport, which was his community, which would have required a lot less relocation than running it through Bronzeville did. Hello. What's going on, y'all? It's Cam from Solutions. Make sure y'all like, comment, and subscribe. Shout out to all the black-owned businesses out there. Shout out to all the HBCUs out there. With that said, I hope y'all enjoy the video and that y'all have a blessed day. I'm bro.
What about the violent aspect of gangs?
Honestly, the major gangs that you see today, like the BDs, GDs, and Stones, they were created to protect black communities from Irish and Greek gangs, like the Greasers. You know, they used to try to pass them off as white groups, like athletic clubs that were really just young teenage boys having fun. But, you know, when a black man does the same thing, it's considered a gang, which has more of a derogatory meaning behind it. If we're being honest, other races exude criminal behavior as well. When you think about it, at least 90% of the black population that's in the United States has a last name that was raped into their family. But we see the younger generation as the problem, even though we had no parenting that showed them otherwise. Even though they grew up listening to music, living in communities where the people that were glorified were doing things that were destroying the community. On the other side of that, a lot of those individuals were doing what they believed was the only opportunity that they had. Because if you're unaware, back in the like 50s, 60s? I say 50s, 60s. I say from up until like the 70s, because that was when they was doing mortgage discrimination. So I'm gonna revise that. Up until about the 70s, there was a lot of mortgage discrimination. So a lot of the houses on the, let's say, west and north sides that you see today, or maybe multi-million-dollar properties, black people wouldn't have even been approved for loans for said properties. On top of that, it wasn't socially accepted for them to live in these types of areas. So now you have a systematic gang. So that's why I made a video on police officers, because I believe that a lot of people would say that's the largest gang, whatever. It's not about policing the community. It's about the root cause. When we talk about the root cause, the same concept applies as far as other races and business. The same holding companies, meaning groups, investment groups that own Tyson and other larger food chains that produce food that we know involves a good deal of processing, they also, within the same portfolio, own pharmaceutical companies. You have to ask yourself, why does someone that controls the food that the nation eats on a larger scale feel the need to hedge their investment in food with pharmaceuticals? They're basically telling you that we're gonna feed you poison from when you born to you about 60, and then we're gonna feed you medicine from 60 until the life expectancy at the time. My thing is, the medicine is in the fridge. Your kitchen is your hospital. Your grocery store is where your doctor works. The food that's up, that grows on trees, grows in the ground, that's what we have to focus on if you want to see a healthier community. The same thing applies in the black community and in business and in us having that sense of community that I was alluding to earlier. If we want to have peace, we have to solve the underlying issue. In my opinion, police officers and, let's say, government subsidy as well, a lot of that is putting a band-aid on the problem, opposed to stimulating the minds of the YNs, which I believe are young leaders that are ultimately willing to do what's necessary for them to live the life that they know they're capable of living had they had the resources. We have to captivate their attention in something that takes them out of this space, something that's productive, something that's lucrative, something that other races have been doing for generations. You have to ask yourself, if you were to live in a project building and it's 10 apartments per floor and 10 people per apartment, and the elevator's not working, they taking resources out of the community, you putting BS in your body, you feel terrible about yourself, you're most likely gonna feel terrible about the next person. On top of that, they systematically remove the male father figure from the household. Now you have no structure. Now you have young men that are either looking up to people in the streets, i.e. the Lil Durk Future example, and they promoting BS. They want you to go do drugs, sell drugs, get into it with the next person over blocks that we don't own. We talk about immigrants. We're focused on the wave of immigrants from, let's say, Venezuela. We mad because they coming in and taking the opportunities, let's say black jobs, a lot of people are aware of that phrase. When we had Asians and Arabs that own our beauty supplies, they own our gas stations, they own the liquor stores. And if you think about it, them the main three businesses in the black community. We don't have trampoline parks, we don't have, without it being a problem. And then they trying to take down all the basketball rims in the city. Like, you just want them to kill one another. Like, they literally have nothing to do.
What they wanted. Are you serious?
Yes. They literally have nothing else to do but shoot at one another.
Like, so y'all, but why people don't
She
see
might as well
this?
be in the video.
I'm sorry. Because that don't make no sense. You take all the basketball hoop down, then that's going to be like, we have nothing else to do. So let's go, like you said, go kill, steal. Let's go in these other neighborhoods. Are you serious?
Because,
Oh, I'm sorry.
no, you good. I ain't gonna lie, you might as well leave that in the video, honestly. Let's say the same population that came up in this space, they have a father figure down the line. Let's say they like 14. At that point, you've been forced into a lifestyle where you either have to join a gang or have to be affiliated with one just to go back and forth to school. So when you ask this younger generation, some of it is laziness. The ones that are actually in bad communities, they may be affiliated with a gang, and now you asking them to go work at a McDonald's or Chipotle, whatever local let's say McDonald's, because there ain't no healthy restaurants in the hood. I'm gonna be honest, it's whales, sharks, churches, Popeyes, the whole 9 yards. You asking them to go work at one of these companies, number one, they probably making less money there than they were in the streets. Number two, you asking them to go serve the individuals that they literally just got into a physical altercation with, basically been into it with them their whole life. So we have to create opportunities, and they have to be high paying. Notice I didn't say jobs, because a lot of people want to be, say CEO, say you want to be an entrepreneur, you want to have your own company. A lot of that you have to be groomed for, and we need role models for that. You need mentorship. That's the difference between, let's say, black people doing business together and other races doing business together. That sense of collaboration, that sense of being willing to pass down something that someone else gave to you, that sense of being willing to collaborate with somebody has to be there if we want to see success as a community. Honestly, business drives a lot of our community. I know I talk about it a lot, but the community is made of businesses. Envision a time where every time you go to spend money, you spending it with a black-owned brand. They do it the same way, it's just not presented that way. They don't have to present, oh yeah, we're an Arab-owned brand, we're an Asian-owned brand, we're a Caucasian-owned brand, we're a brand, and we're promoting and we're doing what's necessary to scale nationally. We have to promote that in order to drive business from our people, because we're so used to being addicted to European liabilities that we fail to stimulate the businesses in our community, which are ultimately necessary to take this YN population from young niggas to young men, young leaders. And honestly, they're the future of our community, so you have no choice but to pour into them whatever it is that you have to contribute. So with that said, man, I pray that y'all enjoyed the video, and make sure y'all like, comment, and subscribe. I pray that y'all have a blessed day. Peace out.